He had like a lightning bolt blouse, and I was already over it with the lightning bolt blouse.
He's like climbing fences in his lightning bolt blouse.
Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unease.
So, hello.
Hi there. We're missing
We don't
hey
have
everybody.
I know. I always hate it feels weird to like start talking without the hey everybody. We are missing Leah tonight. I don't even remember why. Do you remember?
Chorus concert.
That's it.
She's at a chorus concert. We all have had, like, I had my daughter's choir festival last week. Leah has her daughter's choir concert tonight. Mm-hmm. And then you have something next week. You're out of town.
Yeah, I have a conference, so it's for me, not my kids. But yeah, we don't have choir concerts. Although my daughter does play violin now, so
orchestra concerts.
Eventually, yeah. So speaking of my daughter, I just have to tell you, we talked last podcast when we were the podcast about All of Us Are Dead.
Yeah.
I talked about how my daughter is watching it now, and she's,
how old is she?
Like. She'll be 10 in March. She'll be 10
in March. She's barely 9.5. This is when they still count the halves, too.
I just rounded up.
You totally did, because my son will be 14 in March, but like,
I know,
he's 13
I know.
for 5 more months.
I know, but she's always she likes scary movies. She likes horror movies,
wasn't she into that zombie show on Disney?
Yes, she liked the zombie show on Disney. Then she watched Sharknado, and I'm talking, she watched every Sharknado multiple times.
I watched Sharknado with Connor when he was younger too.
Yeah, she was like 6. I mean, but it was like, this is the thing. She likes like
gore,
monster type violence. I don't think she likes, people being violent. Like,
that's the only violence I like is monster. I mean,
same.
And I don't mean like I like it, but that's the only violence I'll tolerate because I don't want to see people hurting people.
Right. And I don't think she does either. Yeah. So, but she loves that type of stuff. So she had originally watched Stranger Things, and, I think I've mentioned that before, but she loves Stranger Things. Like, I mean, deep dive into that show, like, cried every season, because, in every season there's like a beloved character who dies. It's just the way it is. Cried and cried. And yeah, and she just really likes, like, she likes to be scared. She's been asking to go to like haunted woods around me, but we live in Pennsylvania and the haunted woods around here are like no joke.
Has she watched A Quiet Place? That would be a good one.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Okay.
That's a good one. There's two,
okay.
And there's 2 of them now.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I will make that recommendation to her because she's been asking, like, what can I watch after Stranger Things? So right now she's watching All of Us Are Dead. So that's just like her interest. And you know what? I let her do it because she's still a kind kid. Like, her teachers assure me she's kind, she's sweet, she's good.
Yeah,
so
watching
like,
Stranger Things is not going to turn her into Vecna, nor is watching All of Us Are Dead going to turn her into a zombie.
Right. But.
or did it?
No. So at school, they had to draw pumpkins and as like, an art assignment or something. And Hazel, of course, wanted to make hers gory because she's Hazel. So I have not seen this pumpkin. Okay. But I saw her when she was working on it. She was in her room. She had like all her art supplies out on her desk. She was really into it and she was very excited about it. And she showed me like as she was working on it, but I never really saw the final product. But she was, I'm just saying, like, I was like there and she was also super excited. Well, then she comes home and she's like, so the teachers told me that it's too gory and they won't hang it in the hallway.
So then did you see it?
No, I still haven't seen it. And I was like, Hazel, I was like, did anyone else get their art like held back? She's like, no, just me.
Is she sad?
No, I think she maybe feels a little pride.
Okay.
And I guess the funniest part about this is that she is pretty much the smallest one in her class. She's very short. She's very little, very petite. Like blonde hair, blue eyes, looks like innocent as hell. And then she's
the one who draws a super gory pumpkin. Please, when you see it, take a picture and put it on our Instagram because we all need to see the gloriousness of this pumpkin.
Because I said, are you going to get this back? Like, I want to see it. And they didn't like email me. So clearly the teachers aren't concerned. They didn't email me. They did mention at conferences that she's into goriness, and horror, but they're not too concerned because she also picks scary books. Like that's what she picks. If she goes to Scholastic Book Fair, she wants like R.L. Stein type stuff. You know what I mean? And that's like,
sure, that's what she likes.
That's what she likes. So, and I'm not gonna like, especially if she's reading, I am definitely not going to discourage it. And also those types of books. Like I loved Stephen King when I was little. I loved R.L. Stein. Like I love that stuff too. So it's not really a surprise, but I can't wait to see this pumpkin because they said they're going to give it back to her. They're just not going to hang it in the hallway with the rest of her class. I was worried she was going to be upset, but she's not. So that's good. But I just find it hysterical that like my little girl got her art held back.
So I can't wait. Like, how do you make a pumpkin gory? Like, I want to see.
I guess she said like she had a knife stabbing it, which, you know, that might do it. I mean, I even think I think I remember she had like a body attached to it. Like she did a whole thing.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing. I do feel a little bad because she really went all out for this pumpkin. So,
but if she's kind of proud of squicking out the teachers, then, you know.
I think she kind of is. But she's always like, she loves to do art. So that's another thing. I bet it looked very realistic. Like, it's not like it was a bunch of scribbles and she's like, this is a knife stabbing a pumpkin. Like, you could probably really tell it was, you know.
I cannot wait to see it. We need a picture.
But then for Halloween, she's dressing up as an M&M. Like, she's not.
Not like a zombie M&M?
No, not a zombie M&M. She might try to. Well, I mean, honestly, her Halloween costumes were always really crazy. She was a zombie cheerleader one year. I don't know if you remember those pictures because I went all out. She was a really good zombie cheerleader. I feel like you do,
yeah.
Yeah, and then she was like a zombie angel one year. I mean, maybe I'll post some of her Halloween costumes that I've done because she definitely likes the gore. This was actually the nicest costume she'll probably ever have. But anyway, we're not speaking about gore tonight, though.
Well, not really. No, not really. We're speaking about hospice life.
That sounds so weird.
I mean, I don't know of a good segue.
Yeah,
from gore, from zombies to hospice, but
yeah,
you know, it's where we are. Whatever. I'm frazzled. I had my own kids like parent teacher conferences tonight. I literally was like walking in the door and we're supposed to be logging on, and then we had technical issues, and here we are. So
we got it sorted out now.
We're good. So,
and we are excited to talk about this drama.
We are. I mean, like,
we both loved it.
Let's start by stating an undeniable fact here that we here at Afternoona Delight are Ji Chang-wook fangirls.
Woohoo!
And I think it's safe to say that other than Eternal Love by Michael Learns to Rock, or MLTR as we know they're now called, Ji Chang-wook is one of the things we love most about the drama Healer, which is why we were thrilled to find out that he had not one, but 2 new dramas in 2022. And while we were compelled to binge The Sound of Magic, the drama left us with much head scratching and a still unquenched thirst for a story that would grab us by the throat and give us feels upon feels upon feels. And then came If You Wish Upon Me. So, Megan, did this drama bring the feels?
So, I want to mention a couple things before I outright answer this question.
Okay.
I will tell you that when I first heard about this drama and that Ji Chang-wook was starring in it, and I remember that the premise was just I read about it on Twitter. So I read the title, If You Wish Upon Me, and I was like, ugh. And then I read the premise, which was Team Genies fulfill wishes of hospice patients. I was like, are you freaking kidding? I am sorry, but I was like, that's not up my alley. I'm not into this premise. I'm kind of disappointed. I want to see Ji Chang-wook in something cool. I was really not into it. I wasn't happy.
So you reluctantly hopped into episode 1.
Honestly.
When it dropped,
reluctantly
right?
hopped in. And the reason I did was because then I started seeing some stills from the first episode, and Ji Chang-wook is covered in tattoos wearing gangster suits. And I was like, wait a minute. What is happening? Because Ji Chang-wook covered in tattoos wearing gangster suits is up my alley. Tenfold. So I started watching the first episode, and I remember because I was like, guys, I'm obsessed. I was really...
After every episode in our Slack chat, she's like, after every episode, you guys, I am so obsessed with this drama. I'm so obsessed.
Exactly. And I remember you said, okay, are you obsessed because it's a good drama, or is it the magic of Ji Chang-wook? And I will say a little bit of both, but definitely the magic of Ji Chang-wook is what made this drama for me as compelling as it was. And I would say an amazing cast.
Yes.
Like the acting of this drama. Oh my God. But Ji Chang-wook definitely helmed this thing. I mean, he was driving the train. He was the conductor. Okay. And he did amazing.
And he was driving the train and not driving a carousel horse up into the sky.
No. And so, I mean, when it comes to the feels, like this had a stupid number of feels. Almost too much. Almost too many feels. I mean, I was crying in episode 1 and like sobbing by episode 2. I cried over people, a dog, and a musical. What a better musical than Sound of Magic. I do want to say that the feels reminded me of how I felt when I watched Tomorrow. So if you haven't watched Tomorrow, it's essentially it's about Grim Reapers who are, can I say, like an anti-suicide squad?
That's what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you know, trying to convince people that there's a reason to live. And it's kind of vignette-y, and despite the fact that people do die, I mean, a lot of these, you know, they have to like talk to ghosts essentially. It still gave me, I don't know, it was still almost like happy tears in a way. So, I mean, we'll get to it, but If You Wish Upon Me was set in a hospice, so people die. That's not a spoiler. And yet, like Tomorrow, my tears felt cathartic.
Yes, absolutely.
And so
Every time.
I would say, yeah. And so I would say for a drama about a hospice, there was sure a lot of healing.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with the drama, or even if you are, we'll give you a little overview here, and then followed by some spoiler-free discussion. So as always, when we get to the spoiler section, we'll give you a heads up in case you need to pause, watch the drama, and come on back. But If You Wish Upon Me. So Yoon Gyo-rae is Ji Chang-wook, and his life has been tough. He lived in an orphanage and also spent some time in a juvenile detention center and prison. Okay, the drama starts with him getting out of prison. And he struggles to basically live a normal life. He begins to volunteer at a hospice. And there, along with his dying dog Sun, this is not a spoiler. We know Sun is dying in episode 1.
You know he's terminal right away, unfortunately.
Yep. He works with volunteer team leader Kang Tae-shik, who's played by one of our favorite ajusis, Sung Dong-il, and nurse So Yeon-ju, which is played by Soo Young. All three are part of Team Genie, a group of volunteers who grant last wishes to hospice patients before they die. Much of the first half of the drama, like Megan was just saying, involves vignettes of certain patients, their wishes, and how Team Genie turns dreams into reality. But on top of that is the frame story of Yoon Gyo-rae and his struggle to find happiness, to believe that he deserves happiness, and to learn how to open his heart to an unlikely found family, and, of course, a little bit of romantic love. As Megan already brought up, this drama is not for the faint of heart. Most of the drama takes place either in the hospice or on a Team Genie mission, which ultimately ends in a hospice patient dying. Trigger warnings for abuse, self-harm, suicide, death by natural causes, death by a very tragic accident, and death by murder. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Which leads me to our next question. Is this a bingeable drama? Why or why not?
I mean, it's so hard because I really think it depends on what kind of mood you're in and how this drama hits you. So I was watching it live for the first half. So that means I only had to watch 2 episodes a week, and I would wait because, you know, it aired like Wednesday and Thursday, I think. And I would wait till Thursday because I wanted to watch both episodes together because I knew I would want more than an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that if all the episodes are out, especially the beginning, I really think I would have like binged it like crazy and immersed myself in it. I think I just watched it at the right time for me. I don't know how else to say it, because I do think maybe if you're, I don't know, having a bit of a rough patch, maybe you should stick to a rom-com. But for me, I don't know. It was just like, worked. And I think part of it is, I mean, you start the drama and Gyo-rae is absolutely just tragically damaged. I mean, it's sad. And I think part of that kind of character is always going to get me to binge because I just want to get to that part where his like shell starts cracking. And it did happen like early on, like episode 2, we start seeing like a crack in that hard shell and you realize that he is like just mush and jelly beneath.
so much motion jelly.
So much. And so that was, for me, bingeable, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of divide the drama in half. And the first half is all the vignettes. That's packed into, you know, the beginning part of the drama. And for me, that was hard to watch because I'm telling you, like, you have these random patients at the hospice, and in 2 episodes, let's say their vignette takes 2 episodes, you're completely immersed in their story. Like, they're complete 3-dimensional characters. You care about them. You know that they're going to pass away. And so it was very emotional for me, the first half. And so I did not binge the first half. Then you get into the like gangster murdery stuff in the second half. And I crazy binged that, like, because I couldn't stop. I wanted to know what happened. Cause I'm like, what? Like, cause there's some bonker stuff that happens, and we love bonkers here. So it's all good. But I needed to know what happened. And I didn't know how this was going to end. You know, I had no idea. And you kept saying that, like, because you watched it, you know, when you were watching the first half ahead of me, when you were popping into Slack, you're like, I have no idea where this is going to go. But so far, it's awesome. I don't know what kind of a landing it's going to stick, but so far, so good. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about the end. But yeah, it is one of those that you're like, there's so much craziness going on in the framework of the story that, you know, you spend this time kind of lulled into the hospice patients and their Team Genie wishes. And then all of a sudden, the big story of the main characters gets really going. And you're like, oh shit, I don't know what's going to happen here. And that's what made me want to binge.
Yeah. And it's a weird mix because you also have this like wonderful like hospice where the staff is amazing and they're kind and caring.
And many of them seem to live there.
Yeah, it's like, we'll get to that. But, you know, I mean, and they just want to help Gil Ray, and Soo Young is amazing. Like, the opening scene is basically them making fake snow for a patient who's dying because he wants to see snow. And that's what they do for him. They give him fake snow. And I think I started crying and I was like, it's like 10 minutes in. What is happening?
Yeah.
And then, so you have that and you're like, oh, okay. So is that the tone of the drama? And then all of a sudden you like switch to this like gangster guy who's like beating someone with a golf club. And you're like, wait a minute, like what? It's like a weird juxtaposition. But in the end, I think they meshed it was still bonkers, but I thought it meshed probably as best as it could.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, as you said, look, the drama has a stellar cast. And we know we came here for Ji Chang-wook, but who is someone else from the cast who snuck up on you and made you an unexpected fangirl?
I mean, Nam Tae-hoon. Like, him as Suk-joon. Yeah, so he is, I would call him a secondary lead, wouldn't you? Like, he's the second male lead.
But with his own separate romance.
With his own.
It's not like a love triangle.
And we'll get to that later. But like, he has a full, like, sort of rich story, you know, as much as you can get from like the second lead. And he's the villain in the beginning. I mean, he's the villain. Mm-hmm. He's one of the villains. This is not a spoiler. Like, you know, in the very beginning, as soon as Gil Ray gets out of prison, Suk-joon's looking for him. Because he's got money that he owes.
Like the first scene.
Yeah, it's the first scene. But I kept texting Megan and I was like, why am I so like ass over elbows, like wanting a happy ending for this guy? I'm crying for him. Like,
and he's a million red flags.
Yeah, so many. So many. But like
king of red flags.
Okay. I love him in the fictional world.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
I mean, Nam Tae-hoon. What else is he in? I need to know. I want to, you know, is he a male lead in something? So when I looked him up, you know, after this, and he's got a buzz cut, just for anybody who's listening. He's got a buzz cut in this drama. So when I looked him up and saw him with hair, I'm like, who is that dude?
Oh shoot, I have to look that up.
He looks so different.
Oh, I love him.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, same. I gotta, you know, Nam Tae-hoon, I'm gonna look what other dramas he's in because I want to see him. I mean, he's so antagonistic and such a jerk and so many red flags. But
you feel for him.
Yeah.
He's not like 20 years old either. He's born in 1987, so he's not, you know.
Nice. Okay. So like 5 years younger than me. Yeah, I mean, Nam Tae-hoon acted his face off in this role.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. It was a surprisingly emotional role, and I didn't expect that. So I thought he was going to be kind of a one-note antagonist, kind of like a gangster guy. He might have a little bit of a story, but I fully did not expect where they took his character. And I freaking loved it. So, I mean, yeah, it's so hard for me because there's so many good cast members, but he's one of the ones who's really going to stick with me. I would say I really, really loved Yang Chi-hoon. So he's the doctor at the hospice, and he was walking green flags, like through and through. Yeah. He was very type A. In a way, he kind of reminded me of Amy, because he's like, give me the rules. I understand the assignment, and I will follow those rules, and I will do the assignment. But like, those rules are in place for a reason. Especially, and we're going to follow them.
Like, I felt for him because, like, at a hospice, like, he was against the whole Team Genie situation because it sometimes interfered with patients' medical care.
That's what I'm saying.
And like, he's a doctor.
He's a doctor. Like, I never faulted him when he was like, you guys got to chill out. Like, I never faulted him. And he was so cute with his little glasses and his little white coat. And he really cares about the patients. He kept the hospital running. He's kind. He gives good gifts. He takes Soo Young on good dates. But he's not right for her. No. I mean, this was not a
There wasn't chemistry. There was
no chemistry, but he's so sweet. So sweet. And I felt for his character, but I really did love the role. And I thought the actor did a fantastic job because, and again, I like that they didn't kind of just make him this like bland doctor.
Right.
They really gave him that like type A personality that made sense for who he was, and gave him a natural conflict with Soo Young and kind of like with Team Genie. I thought it was really, really good.
I liked him too. I want to back up for 1 second back to Suk-joon just because I thought of a really good comp for him, and that was Gwang-il from My Mister. Yeah. So Gwang-il played by Jang Ki-young, who he was the loan shark who was always
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say that is a very good comp.
A good comp character in that, like, that was another one where I was like, I love this guy. I should not, but I do. You know?
No, it's like a terrible guy.
But you understand, he wasn't terrible for being terrible's sake, right? Like, he was broken, and Suk-joon is broken, and there's
I would say Suk-joon's is more sympathetic.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's the word I was looking for. He's more sympathetic. But, gosh. I just want to go back to that story. Like, I honestly wanted to, like, live in that storyline with him.
I want a whole drama of them.
And,
I want a whole drama of them. I do. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about them a little bit. But, like, again, this is not a spoiler, because you know in the beginning. And this is you and me, Megan. Like, why do we keep watching dramas with dying dogs? Like, terminal dogs.
Have to do this. I want Leah to watch these, because I want to know if she even cries over these dogs. I'm not saying she's like cold-hearted, but she doesn't really care about pets a whole lot. And I'm just curious if she would cry as hard over these dogs as you and I have.
And then we'll have her watch Imaginary Cat. Like, she'll never watch these, but
like, I'm tired of crying over dogs that I don't own.
So
that aren't even real.
Right. I will say this when we watch tomorrow, and again, not a spoiler. Everybody that they're helping, there's some like, you know, suicide situation, and sometimes it's because they're terminally ill. There's a terminally ill dog. And I messaged Megan. I'm like, okay, episode 9 is about a dog. And I'm like, I thought I was going to like laugh it off. And then I messaged her after the episode. I said, and now I am crying for a dog named Kong. Like I'll never forget scraggly little dog named Kong. And I cried. Yeah. And I cried for Sun.
I have like 2 phases of my life, and that's before Kong and after Kong. Okay, like, that dog's death impacted me so much.
I mean, if you want a compelling dog story, this dog did not want its human to suffer watching him die, and so he tried to run into traffic.
That's so. I know I don't mean to laugh because it's not. It's like, oh god, yeah. And then this drama, and that dog is like. It's a huge part. I mean,
Sun is dying for much of the drama.
Yeah. A duel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway. Okay. Dying dogs. Let's hope there's not one in the dramas I'm watching right now, so.
Yeah, no more.
So this is something that has been on my mind a lot. This is only a clothing spoiler, but can we please talk about Yoon Gyo-rae's gangster suit that has the giant, and I mean giant, sequined skull on the back of the suit jacket? Does this look work for you? Does it work simply because Ji Chang-wook is in the suit? It obviously did not work for me. Like, I kept messaging Megan. I'm like, when is he not wearing these suits anymore?
She did. That was
I mean,
one
he
of
had
the
like a
things she
lightning
most
bolt.
messaged.
He had like a lightning bolt blouse, and I was already over it with the lightning bolt blouse.
He's like climbing fences in his lightning bolt blouse. Oh god.
But the sequined skull suit, and I mean, it takes up the entire back of the jacket. You guys, like the entire
and they show
back.
it a lot. Yeah, I mean, his gangster clothes in the beginning of the drama are truly like a chef's kiss closet of awful. The one was like really bright and almost psychedelic. I mean, I don't know. Ji Chang-wook makes it work, but I was not sad when he basically switches over to some nice athleisure halfway through. Then, it was like
he went like full Old Navy after this.
He did. And I was like, thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. He looked really great in like his hoodies and his sweatpants and his sneakers. Like, go with that, buddy. And then he did put on like a real suit, like maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
In the drama.
Yes.
And then thank God. But where
no
did
more
he
skull
get
suit.
those?
I want to know, like, was
out.
that made for the drama, or is there like a rack somewhere in a store that's got those in every size?
It's like an Ed Hardy, like, cast.
So you are too young. I don't know if this store existed in malls for you when you were in high school, but it did for me. And it was a store called Merry Go Round. And
no, I've never heard of that.
It was a mall store, and this suit totally would have been a Merry Go Round. I'm just saying.
Oh, God. All right. Well, now we're getting to everybody's favorite segment of the week, and that's our K-pop Rec of the Week. And this week we have Amy.
So I am going to recommend a song that I have never heard. In fact, nobody has ever heard it.
And not as of this recording.
Not as of this recording. But BTS's Jin, my bias, Kim Seok-jin, his song, The Astronaut, that he co-wrote with Coldplay, drops on Friday the 28th. So right now we're recording this on Wednesday the 26th. So I have not heard the song yet, but I'm going to recommend it anyway because I'm going to love it. And it's going to be on our playlist. He co-wrote this with Coldplay. And how can this not be, fantastic? The teaser photos that they've been dropping are driving me crazy. They just dropped a teaser video, like a 38-second video on YouTube, and it is just Jin with glow-up hair and makeup in a suit on some rocks in a desert with a crashed UFO. And
it looks awesome.
Is he an astronaut? Is he an alien? Like, I don't know. I want to know. I don't know. And then to top this off, Coldplay is playing a show in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, on Friday, and they invited Jin to come debut the song, sing it live for the first time with them, and he's going to. And so I need to find out where I can see this. So hopefully by the time you are hearing this podcast, you are all freaking out about The Astronaut, because it's going to be amazing. And yeah, Kim Seok-jin, Jin from BTS, The Astronaut. Can't wait.
Yay!
If you enjoy our podcast, you have our patrons to thank, at least in part. Afternoona Delight Patreon allows us to keep creating content for y'all to enjoy. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us there. And not to brag, but our Patreon community is pretty awesome, and you can join at a tier that feels good to you. Gain access to fun perks like K-drama posts, monthly Patreon-only bonus podcasts, and even a live K-drama support group on Zoom. Because we know firsthand what it's like to have no one to talk to about those crazy plot twists, amazing characters, and all those feelings. And look, no one should have to walk that walk alone. So learn more by visiting afternoonadelight.com. That's www.afternoonadelight.com. And hey, while you're on the website, you can check out Afternoona Delight podcast merch, find links to book recommendations, bop along to our K-pop recs, glow up your skin with K-merch recs, find all of our social media, and a link to our email so you can send us recommendations or feedback. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you pop over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review? It really helps with our discoverability. Kamsahamnida.
So time for Spoiler Town, which means you're welcome to stay with us if you've seen If You Wish Upon Me, or if you don't mind getting spoiled. I will say, if you do plan on watching If You Wish Upon Me, I think you should save yourself some spoilers.
There are some surprises for sure.
Yeah, there's some cool twists, and I think you should, watch it. Otherwise, feel free to hit pause, come on back when you've experienced the wild ride that is this drama. So, speaking of wild ride, despite us both loving this drama, the plot does go off the rails at points. Did this detract from your love, or are you able to toss logic out the window and just giddy up out of Logic Town? On a flying horse, on a merry-go-round. Stop, I'll never stop with sound of magic references.
I know. You know, and I've already mentioned this, like, every character in here, like, even some of the side characters have backstory. And I think if you pack a drama with 3-dimensional characters who are beloved by the viewers, which at least they were for me, offer emotional storylines that hit you straight in the feels, give multiple romances with actors who have buckets of chemistry, and don't make Ji Chang-wook a magician who grooms teens, then you can overlook, I think, some glaring plot holes. At least I can.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the last about 4 episodes really go off the rails. No one is calling the cops, despite many reasons to do so. There is arson, a literal gang fight in a hospice with 0 security, and also apparently patients who can sleep through a bat crashing into a computer screen. And then an almost too late declaration of love from our secondary leads. I mean, it was bananas. And yet, like, I didn't care because, like Amy said, almost every single character, except for, like, the main villain, which we have to talk about, his story was kind of bleh. But everyone else had really an amazing story. Although the staff, the patients, just, it was, so full. I guess that's how I felt like it was. And yeah, if you make me care about the characters, I'll follow them through anything. And that's what I did with this drama.
Yes. I mean, one of the most bonkers things that I forgot about until just now, and this, I'm not making light of suicide by any means, but Jang Kyung, our second female lead, tries to commit suicide multiple times. I mean, it happens in the beginning of the drama and it happens, midway through it. And when she does it on screen, she tries jumping off the roof of a building several stories up. She doesn't die. I'm happy about this. But the only explanation that we get when she's in the emergency room, she's got like a broken arm, is like the doctor.
3 bruises.
The doctor says she's lucky because she bounced off an obstacle on her way down.
Like what? First of all, we saw that building. There was no obstacles. This wasn't a John Wick thing where he like hit 5 things on the way down.
Right.
Like, wouldn't that hurt more? Like,
right. That's what I was like. Okay. I was like, okay, let's say she like bounced on an awning and there was no awning. The awning would send her flying. Even it's like that episode of The Office where Michael Scott wants to fake that he's jumping off the building onto like a bounce house. Do you remember that? And like, people are like, oh, he's going to die. Like if he does that, like, yeah, there's physics involved. There's velocity. I'm not going to pretend to know all the equations, but I think that if she bounced off of something, she just would have gained more momentum.
I mean, it's just weird.
So
there's a lot of defying physics here.
Yes. So anyway, that was one of the biggest bonkers things for me that was the one thing that I just couldn't shut up about. Everything else, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, let's hit computers with bats in a hospice and everybody sleep through it. It's all good.
Everybody sleeps through it.
I know.
But in every other scene, if there's even like someone raising their voice, all the patients are like craning their necks. You know what I mean? It was like very convenient when like patients were overhearing things. So as we talked about earlier, this drama is told mostly in vignettes in the first half, and in the second half focuses more on our leads and like kind of the gangster type drama. So what was your favorite vignette and how much did it make you cry?
So all of them made me cry. But the one that really got me, I think, is a little bit of a surprising one, and it's the one with Sejin's revenge wish for her boyfriend who was involved in a hit and run. And here's why. So first, like a bit of context if you haven't watched and are still listening, or if you forgot this one, but Sejin, played by Jun Cheon is a volunteer at the hospice. She's a high school student.
She's so cute.
She's
I love
so
her.
cute. But she's a bit of an outcast at school because of some supposed shady goings-on at her parents' karaoke parlor. But one person does not shun her, and that's Hyung-joon, played by Yeowon of the boy group Pentagon. So one night, when the two are talking on the phone together, Hyung-joon is crossing the street. Again, this is at night. So we know that's the kiss of death in K-drama, crossing a street, especially at the night, in the nighttime.
Yeah.
He gets hit by a drunk driver who we later learn was driving with his preteen daughter in the car. The man flees the scene because he's like a big CEO. He flees the scene of the crime, but Sejun figures out who the culprit is and wants him to pay. So she lies and says that Hyung-joon basically had a moment of consciousness because he's in the hospital in a coma. She lies and says that Hyung-joon had a wish for Team Genie, and it was to expose the driver and, make him pay for what he did. So she shows up at his daughter's school and confronts the girl for knowing what happened. And it's terrible and heartbreaking. And at the end of the ordeal, the young girl hugs Sejun, and Sejun loses it because the girl should hate her for what she just did to her. And instead, this girl younger than her, is reacting with compassion, like something that she's never gotten from her own peers. And then she convinces her father to tell the truth, and they actually go to the hospital, and he admits what he did. And I think one of the big themes of this drama is kids paying for the mistakes of their parents. And we get to see Sejun learn this by apologizing to the girl, telling her that it's not her fault, and hopefully easing her own burden of her own parents, sort of shady business. And then she also learns that revenge does not satisfy like you think it would. And I don't know, the connection between these two girls at the end of that vignette just really got me. And also Hyung-joon doesn't die at the end.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I really loved the high school character, Sojun. I like that they give her I like that they give her depth. That's what I'm saying. This drama had so many characters with so much depth. And I really loved that. And that story was one of my favorites. And I should cry a lot. But I'm going to have to go with Im Se-hee, played by a pod favorite, Park Jin-joo. I truly haven't seen her in a role like this, so she's usually very plucky and snarky and fun-loving. But in this, she's dying of cancer, and she's in pain, and she's sick, and she's not always nice. She calls Soo Young, the female lead, a bitch at one point because she's like, give me pain medication.
Yeah.
And she's sort of a cynical realist, which maybe sounds like an oxymoron, but just go with it. I liked her character. I thought she was unique. So her dream for Team Genie, because she is dying, is to star in a musical with her actor crush, Pyo Gyu-tae. So she wrote this musical, which makes it all the more special, and she gets all the staff to play parts in it. And I love this plot point, because while it's a vignette, and it's focusing on Se-hee, it further shows how close the staff is and how Gyo-rae is being drawn into this found family. All of it was meshed very well.
It really was.
All the vignettes with Gyo-rae's journey, which is one thing that I felt was a little lacking in Tomorrow. I thought the vignettes took over and I wasn't getting enough of the main lead story. And that was, I would say absolutely that's not the case with If You Wish Upon Me.
Agree.
Yeah, so there's some drama around the musical because her health takes a turn for the worst, and our poor doctor is she can't do this. Our poor beleaguered doctor who's just trying to do the right thing. But she kind of, rallies and she performs. And she's beautiful and she sings like an angel. And there's a point where her boyfriend shows up, and you don't know who this guy is. He just kind of shows up and he's watching this musical.
Because you think she has a crush on the idol.
Yeah. On the actor.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get this flashback, and we realize that, this is her boyfriend. They were in love and they both wanted to be musical actors together. But then, she got cancer and he had to quit because of vocal issues. And it was watching this flashback of kind of their dying dreams.
Yeah.
is so sad.
It really was.
But then it's also beautiful because then he comes up on the stage and they perform together. And you're like, oh my gosh, in a way they're fulfilling their dreams. It's just it was such a beautifully shot storyline. I loved it. I thought it was going to be corny. I really did. I was like, this is going to be so freaking corny. And that's the thing about this drama is I feel like a lot of stuff could have been super corny, and it wasn't. So
it was executed really, really well.
does. So the musical ends and say he goes home where she passes away. Does it make sense that she went home to pass away and not in the hospice? No.
That was another question of mine too. Like, so she's lived in the hospice for months. Then she does her musical and then goes home. But maybe it's because she knew that was it. Like that was, there's nothing else they could do.
And then she wrote essentially like a note to the staff and they were reading it and I was losing my mind crying. I was crying so hard. I had to like pause it.
She was like, apologizing for being mean and Yeah,
which none of them ever took it seriously, or took it personally. I'm sorry, because they know she's like in pain. She's dying and, that just, I think that was like episode 5 or 6 around there. And it just really got me.
It was really good.
Yeah, so let's talk romantic chemistry. What do we think of our leads, Ji Chang-wook and Soo Young, as far as their on-screen connection?
I mean, this was the slowest of slow burn romances, and I bought every single second of it. Like, I truly believe I watched two people fall in love. Like, first fall into, like, a fun kind of friendship, and then fall in love. Like, I seriously, like, think that these two were meant to play romantic leads together.
100%. Their chemistry is amazing. And they were one of those couples, I've talked about this before, they were a couple who made me feel like they would make it long term. Like I fully believed it, that they would stay together.
They even talked about it. They're like, I love that they even like talk about like, do we have a future? And like,
yeah, at the very end, he draws them as old, as elderly. And it's like, I hope I get to see you like this. I want to see you like this. Meaning like, I want to grow old with you. I was like, now that was freaking cool as hell. That was good. I loved it.
And he does draw throughout the drama too, so he didn't just randomly draw her as an older woman.
Correct. Yeah. Of course he can draw because he's Gyo-rae. But I would say too that they didn't just have a romantic chemistry, but they had like a friend chemistry.
That's what I mean. Like you see them fall into friendship and then fall into love.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
They were like supporting each other. They wanted the best for each other. I mean, I would say Gyo-rae definitely hurt her a couple times because he's a little misguided and like emotionally stunted, but it was because he thought he was doing the best thing for her. And to a degree, like I thought he was kind of right. Like he was definitely bringing drama and problems to the hospice. Yeah. And he's like, maybe I should just freaking leave. So like no one at the hospice gets hurt or I cause like funding issues or whatever. So he like left and it happened like twice. And both times I kind of didn't blame him. I was like, yeah, I mean, you probably are causing a whole bunch of issues, but of course you still are rooting for the couple. But it was, I love them together.
Yeah, they were fantastic. So this might be the first drama where I don't have a solo second lead syndrome situation going on, but instead have like second lead syndrome for the whole second lead couple. Suk-joon, played by Nam Se-hoon, as we already mentioned, and Ha Jun-kyung, played by Won Ji-an. They, along with Gyo-rae, grew up as orphans. They, along with Gyo-rae, got roped into a life of crime in order to basically just stay alive. I cried almost as much for Suk-joon in this drama as I did Gyo-rae. Both he and Jun-kyung are broken and starved for love, yet at the end of, and when I say both, I mean like Suk-joon and Jun-kyung. I mean, all of them are, but like these two side characters are broken and starved for love, yet at the end of the drama, they're on the road to healing and possibly to each other after Suk-joon gets out of prison for trying to kill Gyo-rae. But like, I want to write...
because, he tried to kill him because Jun-kyung asked him to. Right. It was a whole thing.
It's a whole thing because Jun-kyung thought that she was in love with Gyo-rae, but really she just wanted to not be left, kind of thing. Yeah. And so she was trying, like the beginning of the drama, like the reason why he's in prison, and she is too, is because they were trying to kill themselves and ended up starting a fire. So they got, put away for arson. As soon as she gets out of prison, basically forces him back to her by saying that she'll kill herself if he doesn't come back to her, and then tries to convince him to take his own life too. And long story short is she knows that Suk-joon is in love with her. And so she's like, if you care about me, you will kill Gyo-rae and me when we don't know it's going to happen. Things change. She doesn't want that to happen anymore at the end, but he is in, Suk-joon is in a really bad place. Gyo-rae is trying to kill his murderous father. And so he's standing in the street holding his father and basically eggs Suk-joon on, to run him over. So that's why he's in jail. But basically, like, you have hope for these two people at the end, and I want to write them all the happily ever afters. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because Jun-kyung, I mean, she's obviously so toxic, but I wouldn't even say she's toxic. I feel like all her relationships are toxic because she doesn't have a good foundation.
Right.
on relationships.
She needs therapy. She does. Like,
She
that's
does
the one
need
thing, that's my one quibble at the end of this drama, is that she's boxing online, but like she's not getting professional help.
She was basically like a cam girl, so she that was her crime.
She was forced to do it. Like, she was locked.
Yeah, she was
locked in a room.
Yeah. So, oh man, I mean, I loved though what they did with her character. Meaning I loved that they gave her depth. They gave her reason. They made us understand her. They made us sympathetic. She wasn't just this like static foil for the main couple.
Right.
And I really appreciate that. And once I realized that like Seok-jun had this like undying loyalty to her, I mean, I was like, oh my God. By the end of the drama, I almost wanted to see them on screen more than like my beloved Gyeore.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be a sucker for unrequited love. And the moment when Jun Kyung like really learned the truth that, you know, who Nam Tae-hoon was, how long he'd known her and cared for her when they were kids.
That's like a whole... Seok-jun. Nam Tae-hoon is his real name.
Oh, Seok-jun. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You know, she was so broken. She thought everyone had abandoned her. And that was her dependency on Gyeore was not about love. It was definitely about just being dependent on someone. She just didn't want to be left. She wanted someone with her. And, you know, she went into full panic mode when she learned the truth about Seok-jun, and it was heartbreaking to watch. I mean, I was crying because she was like, oh my gosh, I asked him to like kill for me. Yeah. I asked, you know, like this is, why did I, you know, you can tell she just is like, what the hell is wrong with me? So, I mean, Seok-jun was a broken man and Jun Kyung was a broken woman. But I think they understood each other and saw the truth in each other. I will say at the very end, I was a little worried that Jun Kyung kind of just like replaced Gyeore with Seok-jun and she was just going to be like essentially just dependent on another man. But they definitely gave her some more agency and they gave her like an independence. I mean, she still has this like fan base online. So she was like, okay, I'm still gonna like, I'm gonna like try to get healthy. Yeah. And so I'm gonna like box online. I'm gonna talk to you about how I'm gonna get healthy. And like, do I think she needs therapy? Absolutely. But I still felt like I was almost, as much as I didn't want Seok-jun in jail, I was like, that's probably the best for both of them.
It was realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was realistic. He should go to jail. And she needs to be on her own.
Right.
Like, she needs to learn that it's okay to be on her own and that no one abandoned her. And she does learn that because she learns that actually her mom, like, she thought her mom, like, left her at an orphanage. And what really happened was her mom died in a fire protecting her.
Yeah.
The little girl had no burns and her mom essentially, like, burned. I mean, it was very tragic, but it was, you know, when she learned the truth, it was also kind of a light bulb in her head. And in my mind, she's getting therapy.
So one of our favorite ajusis, Sung Dong-il, plays supervisor Kang Tae-shik. He is the much needed father figure for Gyeore, partly because he's just a hell of a guy, but also, this is something we haven't talked about, like, outside the pod. Also, his greed earlier in life got him mixed up with a gangster who ends up being Gyore's abusive father. We'll get to that. And because of his greed and putting his business dealings first, on one fateful night when Yoon Ki-chun asks Tae-shik to meet him at a quote-unquote business dinner, Tae-shik drops his wife and son on the side of the road and tells them to get a taxi home. But remember, this is on the street at night in a K-drama. So of course, right after this, the wife and son are hit by a car and killed, both of them. This is something that we have not talked about since watching the drama, but I need to hash it out now. I loved Tae-shik. I cried for him at the end. But, like, what do you think of his motivations? Like, do you think that he does what he does for Gyeore out of the goodness of his heart? Or is it driven by guilt over what happened to his own son and the responsibility that he feels for it?
I mean, I really think it's a little bit of both. Because I think he wants to be a better person. I mean, that's a very clear goal for him. And I think he sees that he can make that happen for Gyeore. And he does recognize Gyeore as the son of his, like, gangster boss, the abused son. And he was the one who told Gyeore, run away from your abusive father who, like, burns you with irons. Like, you know, we're not talking, like, the abuse was horrific.
Yeah.
For little Gyorei. So, he tells Gyorei to run away. And I don't know, I think maybe part of him felt like, I told him to run away and he still grew up and his life is kind of a mess. I would say it's a little bit of both. I do think obviously he feels extreme guilt over what happens to his son. And he's like, I can do something for someone else's son.
Yeah. I do think that he has some altruistic motivation for sure. Like he wants to be a better man than he was. Like he realizes the error of his ways and stuff like that. But it's a messed up situation. And one thing that I didn't like realize until we get to the end of the drama is that other than going to his wife's grave and sort of talking to his wife at one point, like he never really talks about that situation with anybody, so I wonder what that has been like for him for the past however many years, living with that. There's some rough stuff in this drama, everybody. There really is.
Yeah. And a lot of it. It's like everyone's got this like, depth and it's all emotional and it's hard.
It is.
Well, speaking of that, which scene in this drama made you cry the hardest?
I mean, it was the end. The surprise beach birthday party for Gyorei, where everybody, had Gyorei thinking that he was going to the funeral for Kang Tae-shik before Kang Tae-shik passes away because he does have cancer, which he was getting chemotherapy for, but apparently a car accident sped up his demise.
We'll go with it.
I know. But yeah, so Tae-shik basically plans, he sends a text saying that he wants to have his own funeral before he dies. And Gyorei tries to resist, and finally, is convinced to go. And when he gets to the beach, it's a birthday party for him. Now he doesn't, it's not his actual birthday, but Tae-shik is like, you're being reborn now, with Team Genie. This is the day. It's, cheesy as it is, it's the first day of the rest of your life type of situation. And it's your new life. And it was it had the framework of in the very beginning of the drama when Gyorei and Tae-shik first happen upon each other. Gyorei has his dog and his dying dog in his arms. And he's on the beach in his gangster suit, and he's starting to walk into the water. He's like, we're just going to end it all right here. And Tae-shik stops him. And now here he is at the other end, of the spectrum here. And he is kind of born again, like a new man with a new goal in life, a new family. It was beautiful. And I cried so hard. I was hyperventilating.
I think I was whimpering.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, it's a birthday party. I was like, oh,
it was one of those where I was like,
yeah,
it was my ugliest ugly cry face.
Yeah.
And I was just nobody's in the house with me. I don't care. I'm just letting her rip.
I get it.
Yeah.
I would say I cried hardest at that stupid dog's death. Son or a duel. Oh my God. It wasn't just the dog. It wasn't just the fact that the dog was dying. It was Gyorei losing it. It was Team Genie supporting him. What they basically did is he's holding his dying dog and they sit him in front of a chair and show him images of his, no.
It's a drive-in screen.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a drive-in screen and basically they let him essentially showing scenes. They're letting him travel with a duel.
Going down a road or a sidewalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And the dog's watching the screen, loving it. Just because you can tell, just shut up, you can.
You can.
And it's it was emotional.
And then the dog dies in his arms.
It was emotional and it was drawn out and I hated it in a way because I was crying so hard, but it was so well done. And like I said, again, even the dog's death meant something for Gyorei's story. In a way, the dog had to die because it was, again, taking away another crutch that Gyorei had.
Yeah.
That he kind of needed to shed. And he really did turn a corner. Once the dog died, that's when he finally started wearing more athleisure. and really devoting himself to the hospice. It was just a lot. It was an important
It was a beautiful scene. It really was. And you know as soon as he sits down in that folding chair or whatever.
Folding chair.
Okay, so the dog's gonna die now. Buckle up. Here we go.
God damn. Shout out to both Kong and this dog actor for dying beautifully. I will say runner up. This was again the end. So there is a staff member this was kind of a really good twist, but there's a staff member who has dementia and we don't know it. And one of the wishes that her husband has for her is he wants her to be able to go to was it like Norway or Sweden?
It's called like the Dementia Village, right? And
Yeah.
I looked it up. I'm going to look it up right now.
So
It's in the Netherlands.
the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay. So her husband wants her to be able to go to this village in the Netherlands, which is built specifically for, dementia, memory loss patients. It's like a whole village that's set up.
Where they have like
And-
a convenience store and a hair salon, and everybody there is basically somebody who works for the Dementia Village
Right.
and cares for the patients.
And in the end, like, I'm like, where's the storyline going? How are they freaking getting her to the Netherlands? And then they don't. And in the very end, it's like after the birthday. Cause it's like, it flashes forward. They don't actually show Tashik dying. Thank God.
I know.
But they do speed forward and they show that he has passed, but it's not like they show the funeral. It's more like a memorial for, they have like a memorial for him in the hospice and things. And then they show this character and she's like getting her hair done. And then she hands over genie dollars. And then you realize they built
Team Genie made
a
their own.
whole village for memory loss and dementia patients. And I am streaming tears at this point that they built this for her. I'm losing it because
Well, there's more patients then because
there's more patients.
Yeah, there's more. Like, so how they're managing this and a hospice, I don't know. And
I don't freaking know.
care. And I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care.
Don't care.
It is. I mean, I'm crying for. It's just so special, so beautiful. It's this whole village with a freaking bus. I mean, I loved it, and I cried really. I that's the thing. I was like, oh my God, I need this drama to freaking be over. The whole last episode kept making me cry.
So this drama, surprisingly, has a lot of comedy.
It does. That's the
Like,
thing.
we've talked about all of this hard, sad stuff, but there are a lot of funny moments.
Yeah.
And I love that we got that because it was a pretty good balance, I would say. So what scene made you laugh the hardest?
So Ji Chang-wook and Soo Young have a first date, and it is hilarious for a lot of reasons. So first of all, when he asks her, he won't look her in the eye. They're like cleaning up the kitchen. And he's like, want to go out on a date with me? And he's looking down at the teapot. And she's like, are you asking the teapot out on a date? And because he has to like cover up, he's just like, yeah, actually, I want to go on a date with the teapot. Like, do you want to come too? And so they go on this date, and you notice they're carrying the teapot with
It's
them
so cute.
on this date. And then the date itself is very funny because
He says that she can pick what they do. There is that, right? Like
Yeah.
he does say that.
yes. So let me explain first. Soo Young, I want to talk about this because this is one thing I actually really loved about Soo Young. So she's into working out, but what I loved the most about it was working out wasn't framed as anything about vanity. It was about Soo Young wanting to be physically strong. That's what it was about. And, it related back to how when she was younger, her mother was dying of cancer. God, there's a lot of cancer in that drama. Jeez.
Yeah.
And Soo Young basically had to carry her mom down these the stairs outside their apartment. And
There's
she really
always
struggled.
stairs that
Always
how
a
do-
million
how
stairs.
how do emergency medical people
I don't know,
get
man.
to people who live up there?
So it's like in My Mister when he was carrying E.T. Granny on his back. So she was carrying her mom on her back, but she was young and not very strong.
Yeah.
And so she always vowed from that point on that she wanted to be strong, physically strong for her loved ones. She wanted to be able to carry anyone on her back that she needed to. And I thought that entire thing was very cool. I love that about Soo Young. Because at one point, someone gifts her a barbell and she thinks it's or a little dumbbell handheld, and she thinks it's the best thing. So anyway, on the date, she makes him do all this athletic stuff. They're rock climbing. I don't even remember something else. And he's dressed really nicely in a suit. He's trying to impress her and she's making him do all this stuff. And it's so funny. He's exasperated, but she's having a great time. And they bring this teapot along. They're at one point they're walking and the teapot's swinging between them. At the end of the date, they are riding a bike together and sitting on the basket at the front of the bike is the freaking teapot. And I just carrying that joke all the way through is just good writing.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I totally forgot about the teapot until you brought it up. So I love that so much. I mean, there is a lot of comedy. And so one of the things that I really liked is there's a scene. We talked about it on a different episode of the pod, but so hopefully this isn't.
Oh, we did, but it's still so good.
It's still so good. Right. So there's a scene where, Soo Young's character is a nurse at the hospice and she basically moonlights as a volunteer. So her volunteer stuff that she does for Team Genie is in addition to being an actual nurse at the hospice. So she's always exhausted. And she's sitting at the nurse's station and she's fallen asleep. And she's like, her head's like bobbing and she could like smash into the table like at any moment. And so Gyorei is there and he catches her head before she passes out basically and knocks her, cracks her head open. And then she wakes up and is like, why are you grabbing my hair? You don't know that because she's reaching for him and you think this is going to be like a cute romantic moment. And she grabs his hair. She grabs his hair like by the back of the head. And then they're in this like weird like standoff, standing up and pulling each other's hair.
And like, whoa. Like yelling at each other.
And like, there's nothing he can do to get out of it because like he can't, like the moment is past. So it's really funny.
And he doesn't want to confess that he was like being kind.
No, because this is before they're dating.
Yeah.
So it was super cute, super funny because he was being super sweet and romantic. And then she does not react to it romantically because she doesn't know what he's doing. And it was very,
she's
very
so
funny.
tough. I love her. But she's
funny.
like, she's the biggest heart and she's so sweet. That's what I loved about her is she had this like strong physical female, but she was like, still had this like big heart. I don't know. It's just, she didn't feel like a character. That's
right. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, as bonkers as some shit got here, like, there was enough depth to these characters that, like, I believe them in any scenario. I keep reminding myself that I fell in love with K-dramas watching Yoon Suri paraglide through a tornado into North Korea. And if I can accept that,
I can accept this.
I can accept anything.
I mean, well, related to that, this drama often tosses logic out the window when it comes to much of the plot. So which scene or plot point, when thought about from a logical standpoint, is totally bonkers, but we don't care about it being bonkers?
So we've talked about like the violent showdown in the hospice and the fact that like nobody calls the police and everybody convenes inside a hospice to have this violent showdown.
The actual gang fight.
Like an actual
in
gang
the
fight.
lobby. I mean, people are like trying to stab each other. It is like they're trying to kill each other in the lobby of the hospice and no one comes out. There's no security ever. There are no security guards. No. None.
Nothing. And like nobody calls the police and everybody knows that like this showdown is going to be happening. Like it's not a surprise. Right. Like even Soo Young's character, she's like, yep, we're going to do this. But like, here's the part that just blows my mind, even though I was here for it. So we've got Gyorei's father, who, he ran away from years and years ago. We find out is a supposed comatose patient being hidden in the last room on the 4th floor in the hospice. He's been hidden in secret for years. Why? Why, you ask? Well, the reason
Not for years.
It's not been for years?
No. Oh, wait, maybe it has been for years.
I think it has been like a few years. Not like a ton.
Yeah.
Or has it been months?
It's been
I don't think they ever say how long it's been.
It doesn't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if it's been a week.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't matter because listen to this. Listen to this. So, yeah, I don't know when it happens. So, yeah, because it's after Taeshik has lost his family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't make it clear when it happens. So
they don't make it clear, but again, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But here's what happens. So Taeshik and Gyorei's father fight like in the woods by the hospice, and Taeshik pushes him and he falls and whacks his head on a rock and you think dies. But then people from the hospice find him and they're like, oh no, we can't let Taeshik be a murderer. Oh, cause didn't he like record Taeshik on his phone? He recorded it.
And they're like, we can't let him die.
We can't let him die.
Because then Taeshik will be a murderer.
Because then Taeshik will be a murderer.
Keep him alive in secret.
We'll keep him alive in secret in the hospice. So here's the thing. Soo Young's character knows about it, and as does every other volunteer at the hospice, but not our poor type A doctor. He doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Yet they're using drugs to keep him sedated. He's got a full beard and long hair, so he's been there for some time.
You're right.
Right?
It's been at least months.
Right. Doesn't matter. Because the part that I can't figure out is you're at a medical facility where you have to log every like vial of morphine that you use. Like they even make a point of like, showing all the morphine in the safe because the gangsters are trying to steal it. How's our poor type A doctor man not like, where's this medicine going? And why is this door locked? Like he does rounds. Like, does he not wonder what's in this room?
It's nuts. It's the weirdest
And the
plot
fact
point.
is he's not in a coma. He's perfectly alive and walking around the hospice at night.
I mean, that's the craziest part to me. I gotta tell you, the amount of people that wander around this hospice who
aren't
they don't
patients
have
at the hospice.
They don't have visitor tags. There's no security. I'm talking like this hospice is just the Wild West. Like it is crazy. Like I think that was one thing I put in Slack at one point. I was like, dude, what is going on in this hospice? Like, why are people just wandering around? This patient at one point is just wandering around with sharp scissors. And you're just like, where did he get the scissors? Like, are they not locking up sharp scissors? Like, where is he getting these shears? It's crazy.
And like,
it's crazy.
Would they not lock him in the room?
Well, that's another thing too. He's
a gangster. They know he has come and tormented Taeshik at the hospice before and caused damage at the hospice, has hurt people at the hospice, and they know who he is. Like it's not like there's this random
he hit a patient. Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like a terrible man and they know it. So crazy.
So how are they not locking him in the room?
I can't. It's so crazy. It is so nuts. And then, of course, he ends up being Gyorei's father, which I just want to say, as soon as I saw like some bearded man in the bed, I was like, that's Gyorei's father. Like I knew, like I'm just saying, I know I didn't tell you, but
I believe you. I believe you.
Swear to God, I was like, this is happening. And then, that whole thing too is like, Gyorei knows. So at one point, he knows his father is awake and out of the coma, but he doesn't tell anyone. And his father pretends to not remember who he is. Like, Gichun is like, I don't know who I am, which is an act. And even when Gyorei knows it's not an act, he still just like lets him in the hospice. Like, he's like, no, like he still is, you know what I mean?
I know.
The whole thing is, and then his gangster buddies are like, we gotta go break Gichun out of the hospice. I'm like, Gichun can walk out on his own. Like,
he doesn't need any help.
He doesn't need any
But then he
help.
wants to steal all the morphine, but not to sell.
At one point, he's just walking around in his nice suit. Like, somehow he got his gangster suit back, and he's just walking around. I mean,
and spreading rumors about Gyorei.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The head nurse.
Because he stabs the...
Oh, yeah, he stabs the social worker. He tells the head nurse to spread rumors about Gyorei. It's crazy. That's what I mean. The end starts to go completely nuts.
And what you find out is that the asshole gangster guy who's been chasing down Gyorei and sending Sukjun after him is basically Gyorei's father's minion. So the crime lord that Gyorei has been working for ever since he was like a teenager is his father.
And it's like no one ever put
know.
Puzzle pieces together. I mean, it's whatever.
That's why I wonder if it was years, because how did Gyorei never have any contact with the president?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. And you know what? It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. I still loved it.
Like, I still loved it. And I still thought that Gyorei healed from his emotional wounds. I mean, I still think he needs therapy.
He does.
But
he learned that you don't have to bear pain in silence. Like, that's what Soo Young's character, he overheard Soo Young's character talking to another hospice patient saying, like, you can say when you hurt. Like, you should say when you hurt. Like, let people help you. And so he's getting there.
I really love that. Like, that whole part where that's what I'm saying when we talked about like the chemistry and how they became friends first. Like, they really started caring about each other as people. Cause Soo Young was like, again, showed Gyorei, okay, you can let us know your emotions. You can tell us you're in pain. And I think Gyorei really respected that about her. I think he just saw like another way to live that he'd never seen before.
We keep forgetting her like name in the show. It's Yeonju.
Oh my God, we've been saying Soo Young like the whole time.
I keep saying Soo Young's no, I've been saying like Soo Young's character because I can't remember. So I'm sorry, it's Yeonju.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
She's awesome. And yeah, I love that relationship so much. I would watch them star in a drama together again.
Yeah,
I'm saying
like
good.
Their chemistry was fantastic. It really was.
And I know she has a real life boyfriend, and they're cute too. It's Dr. What's the hospital playlist? Junwan. Yeah, Kim Junwan.
Oh, Kim Junwan, sorry.
His name is Jung Kyung Ho in real life.
Yes. And they've been together for a while.
They have.
Yeah.
They have. And they're very cute. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of another plot point that was as bonkers as that whole patient thing. And I feel like when they started really getting into that, like Gyo-Ray's dad, that's when things started really going haywire.
Yeah.
But I didn't care again because I was like, I just want everyone to have an HEA, so I'm just going to keep watching.
Right. Like that. Yeah, that and Jun Kyung bouncing off of an obstacle. I'll never be over that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so anything else we need to get off our chests about the drama?
I don't think so. I think what this drama is teaching, has taught me, and what a lot of dramas have taught me, is that if you write good characters who can really bring out the emotion of the situation, that you can have some goofy plot holes and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter, because what I'm really here for is the emotion that it's going to bring me, and like you said, like the catharsis that we got out of a lot of the vignettes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, give them a goal, motivation, and conflict, and I'll give them a good GMC, and I will follow them.
Even if it's far-fetched.
I will follow them through a love tunnel, through a hell bridge with flying knives,
through a tornado into North Korea.
Through, in a hospice gang fight, anything. I will follow them.
I mean, I don't think that Gyo-Ray had to smash the computer monitor before the fight
I don't know why
started,
he did that.
Before it even started.
I feel like the drama was just like, let's make it chaotic.
Like, he screams. Like, everybody's like, what's going on here? And he screams and smashes a computer, and it's like, that was not necessary.
Like, who's paying for that,
right?
Gyo-Ray? I hope hospice has insurance.
I do have a question concerning the end. I know that Taeshik like left money to establish like a fund for the hospice, but like, are they still volunteers or are they making a living now? Because everybody was a volunteer. How?
It's a very good question, because I'm like, Gyo-Ray's got it, like, right? Is he like hired by the hospice now, even though he has absolutely zero
credentials?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to pretend like he does. I'm going to pretend.
Taeshik was saving money, like every dollar that he got. So I'm just going to pretend that he put away enough over the years to pay everyone's salary.
Yeah. And now he's just in perpetuity. I'm just going to pretend. Just totally pretend. It was a really good ending. I will say, for a drama that was this, I felt like a lot of very satisfying endings.
Yeah. Agree.
Like, it didn't feel like it fizzled out, I guess I should say. For as much as they put you through, I feel like they were really pounding home, these people are happy now.
Yes. Like, you know everybody had a road forward at the end who was still alive.
Yes.
Those who were still alive had a road forward.
Who was still alive. Oh, God. Yeah, true. Even poor, like, Suk-Jun in prison. He was still really happy.
Yeah. And I think things are going to turn around for him.
Oh, poor guy. Even the doctor. Who I feel like deserves a second male lead SOS. I might have to write him one.
I want to write one for Suk-Jun and Jun Kyung.
Yes.
Like, I want to write them their own story.
I feel like we can make an exception.
Because they're a second lead couple who's in need of an SOS.
Absolutely. I think you should do it.
I'm going to put some therapy in there, just so you know.
Yeah, and the actress who plays Jun Kyung, beautiful.
Yes.
Like, stunningly gorgeous. Her name is Won Ji-an, and she is stunning. I loved her so much.
And plays the part really well. Like,
oh my God, yeah. Because she used to be, like, tough. She's, like, walking around wearing all black and her combat boots, and then, she has, like, a chip on her shoulder, and, oh, man. She's great.
Yeah. So, we're going to say thumbs up for this drama.
Yeah. I think you should watch it if you made it. Well, now that we spoiled everything and you haven't watched it. But yeah, we loved it. I want to hear if you love it too.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We will not all be back together next week.
I'm sorry. I'll be
next
gone.
week it'll be me and Leah. But then, right after that,
we are back together.
So until next time, everyone.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Annyeong.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!